Welcome back. Joburg Mayor Dada Morero concedes that he has failed to meet his promise to resolve water cuts in Coronationville. Communities in the area and surrounds protested last week over persistent supply problems. Morero joins us live now for more on his new plan. Mayor, thank you so much for your time. You've promised residents of Coronationville that their taps would be running again in 7 days. That deadline has come and gone. How do you explain breaking that promise?
Yeah, good evening, Vero, and evening to your viewers. Let me respond in this fashion to your question. You'd know 7 days ago when I arrived in Coronationville, Westbury, there was no water. The area had no water at all. We made a commitment that we'll then work within a period of 7 days, then intention to bring certain interventions. One, it was interventions around water tankers and static tanks. Two, we made an interventions around ensuring that we're able to redirect water from other sources. Three, we said we'll then have to close other areas at night to try and get the system to recover in that area. And that's the work that we have been doing in the last 7 days. The area started seeing a lot of improvement in terms of water coming through their taps. At certain hours in the day, they would not have, but certain hours of the day, they will have water. So the success in this case was that at least we're able to ensure that there's water provision. Yes, there are still challenges in some areas around the flats and around the old age, especially the flats. Water can't get to floors above the first floor, which therefore means that we need to retrofit the pipes in those flats, work which we are starting to do in those areas. Community was quite happy, regardless of the challenges that they have, on the basis that we have kept them informed. We have been engaging with them daily, and they also appreciated the fact that we did come back today to engage and plan with them together. The next intervention, we're hoping it will work. The team is working on building a new pipe from the Crosby line to bring it into Coronation, because the pressure is quite high there, and they believe that it will be one of the solutions that will help us to have water in the area. I think all of us are working to ensure that there's uninterrupted water supply in the area. Whilst at the same time, Veronica, must say we're also trying to deal with the water demand in Johannesburg, which has gone too high, generally the whole of Johannesburg, and we want to appeal to all our residents to try and reduce consumption and to use water sparingly, because it does affect us in distributing water in other areas. So that's what will appeal to our residents. But the residents of Coronation, when I left today, we also agreed on establishing a committee that will work. So we have established a committee of 10, which will also include the ward councillors in the area and ourselves and the teams from Joburg Water, so that every intervention that we do, we take along the community. But the matters will eventually be resolved, and there will be constant water supply in the area.
Yeah, and I understand that that effort of turning off certain supplies in some areas to build that capacity, that has been something that Joburg Water has been doing for some time. But also the frustration from those residents has been long going. There needs to be a concrete plan. This is in fact what was said to you by those residents. In the long term, what is the efforts to address that water crisis?
Well, as part of what the city has been planning to do, in this budget, we have allocated just around 800 million in the area, with an intention to deal with the bulk infrastructure there, to deal with the infrastructure, because we do believe that it's old, it's aged, it requires to be refurbished. We've also are building a reservoir and a tower, which will be opened at the end of October, which promises to give us just between 24 and 26 megalitres of water, which we think it will help us to ease the pressure. We are also renovating or refurbishing the reservoir just around Brixton, the old one, which we hope once we have refurbished, it will also help us. I think there we are looking at between 14 and 16 megaliters of water. So we'll have added another 24 megaliters of water in the area. We are also looking at the Hestil 1, Hestil 2 to try and refurbish the pumps, because the pumps themselves require refurbishment. Because there's 3 pumps and they are not in good state, so we are fixing those. So we believe that there's a master plan for the entire Joburg, in fact, and we'll unveil the master plan, which is long-term, in an attempt to bring this water situation in Johannesburg to conclusion. There's also wards like 59, 66 in Kensington and 118, which are highly affected. And tomorrow I'll also be meeting with communities there so that we work together with them to eventually find an everlasting solution and give them updates constantly, because this requires all of us to work together. It's a historical matter, it's an infrastructure matter, and all of us must come together and find a sustainable solution to the problem.
Yeah, and you've mentioned, of course, the city's budget there. Earlier during the week, I believe you clarified that there was a 4 billion rand meant for Joburg Water that wasn't necessarily missing from the city's coffers, but rather redirected to cover the Metro's financial obligations. Isn't water itself a core service? Isn't that a service delivery? And perhaps maybe the diversion of these funds is the crisis that residents find themselves living through right now.
No, remember, it's money that is collected on water surpluses, and that money is meant to drive the city. You'd know that when we started local government, the assumption was that metros would survive on the basis of what they collect themselves, and that being rates and taxes and surpluses from water and electricity. So that's the core of where metros are raising their money and their revenue. And outside of that, they then get about 13% or so to 16% that comes from national grants and provincial grants. So metros have to raise their own money. And when the money comes into the central account of the city, it's money that belongs to the city and should be used to cover all other expenses and commitments of the city of Johannesburg. We have also went through a process towards the end of last year with National Treasury, where we are looking at service entity reforms. And the intention of that is to try and ring-fence certain percentages that comes from the surpluses of water and electricity and reinvest those into those service entities to ensure that they are viable, to ensure that they can also focus on maintaining their own infrastructure and thus protecting our revenue. So that's the program that we're involved in, and it will soon be coming to full implementation. And once that happens, you will then see different financial allocations to service entities. But as it stands now, we're still on that model, the model that said all the money must come into one central place and be used for all city commitments and obligations.
Right. Right. Well, Mayor, I think just before I let you go, some have said that Johannesburg's water crisis is perhaps a bigger symptom of a governance issue and failure in the city. With the local government, elections coming up next year, do you think people will be casting their vote with their dry taps in mind?
Well, we are working very hard to ensure that we can resolve these issues. It's a structural issue. It's an infrastructure issue. And our responsibility is to ensure that from time to time, we invest and we ensure that we resolve the problems that are faced by the city. At this stage, I'm not worried about elections. Elections will come at the right time, and political parties that contest for elections, including the one that I represent, the African National Congress, will go in there and contest the election. And we are now in the driving seat of governance. So we've got a responsibility to ensure that we deal with all the issues that are affecting the residents of Johannesburg, whether it's roads, it's water, it's electricity, it's our task, and as the mayor leading this collective, I've got the responsibility to ensure that I find solutions to the challenges that are facing Johannesburg.
Yeah, and I understand that tomorrow you're expected to sit before the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation. What will you be telling them about the plans going forward?
We'll give them a report, we'll give them what we're doing in Johannesburg, the same way we have been doing. In fact, I've been meeting with the minister and the MEC of Cocta and the Premier for the longest of time, at least twice a month. And we've been meeting with them, giving them reports and updates. So I'm confident that the national government does know where we are. They do know where the challenges are, and they will go and report. It's the responsibility of standing committees to hold us to account. They also have to respond to the citizens of South Africa on what are the challenges faced by municipalities. So we'll go there and give them an honest and frank report on what are the challenges that were faced. Last week, we had the Department of Cocta, where we're giving reports on the state of the city. A month ago, I went to SCOPA, Public Accounts Committee, where I went to report about the financial situations of the city and all other issues. So we do go to committees and give them frank and honest reports, and they also give us feedback on where the gaps are and where we should close. So we are a third sphere of government, and we should be working with the province and the national government.
All right. Well, Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero, they're giving us an update on that failed deadline of 7 days to restore water in Coronationville and surrounds. Thank you so much for your time.